not only to serve our community, but to be a role model for the rest of the country. We stand ready, willing, and able to help this administration push this initiative across this country from coast to coast. And it is a real honor to be in front of you and to be collaborating with our government and our two leaders here. Now what I'd like to do is introduce GZ, because what Jeffrey won't tell you is he made this happen for us. He collaborated with Donna Tope, our Vice President of Operations, and the two of them went to work. And Jeffrey taught us, retrained us, re-skilled our chefs and our team members, and has built something that we can all be proud of because it's making a real difference in the lives of the people that we care for. Jeffrey?
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a real honor to be here, and this afternoon, I got to cook for Secretary Collins and Secretary Kennedy, and I almost pinched myself. It was so great, and the food I cook here is the exact food I have in my restaurant. So I pick dishes that I formulated for the hospital, and it's hospital food. So they ate hospital food today, and I hope it was good. And we wanted to do, our mission here was to serve single origin food that is bioavailable, that is delicious and yummy. Because what I was telling everyone, when you're sitting in a hospital bed with half of you uncovered, it's a real depressing situation, and you want something homey and yummy and delicious, and you want that experience, because food really is a transformative thing. When you imagine what we do for a living, and what I get to do, I'm very lucky, is I get to cook food for people. They actually put it in their mouth, ingest it, and I help them with their day, and they feel good when they eat well. So imagine doing that for a hospital patient. So it's like a complete joy for me to be here, and I want to thank the staff here, because they really let me do what I wanted to do and change the food. But really what was the most important here was changing the culture, because there's a lot of rules embedded into the system we have now that really don't work, and we'll talk about that at one point. We're trying to change that as well. But to see this food pyramid, the right food pyramid, is so shockingly happy, makes me so happy, because for 50 years it's been the other way around. And so I just want to thank both Secretary Collins and Secretary Kennedy for turning this around finally after all these years, because as a chef, the old pyramid was absolutely insulting to what I do for a living. So I just want to thank everybody here for letting this happen, especially John Corus and Donna Tope, who our team members are. So right now I'd like to introduce Secretary Collins.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I will say that Bobby and I just had an argument over whether the chicken noodle soup was better or the chili was better, that Chef GZ and the extraordinary team of chefs that you all have, John, back in that back kitchen, and getting to shake their hands and give them hugs and remind them that they're literally part of a revolution. They are truly, with the leadership of those standing with us here today, and Donna, you and others, Blake, out in the audience, they are completely changing the trajectory of our country, and it's just an honor to get to be a very, very small part of that. That was the best chicken noodle soup I've ever had, Chef, and I mean that sincerely. It really was incredible. We had some.
I'll send you the recipe.
Yeah, please do. We had some amazing beef. We had some incredible chili. It was just so inspiring. We also wrapped up a fantastic tour of this remarkable facility. And I just want to note that getting the glimpse of the life-saving work that they are doing every single day here at Tampa General is incredibly inspiring. And I'm usually on a farm or checking out cattle. So for me, it's very, very special to get to be here and with my great partner, Bobby Kennedy. The dietary guidelines, as the chef mentioned, and I bet Bobby will talk a little bit about this, but this was when we released it about 6 months ago. And it is historically a USDA and HHS partnership, but never before have two secretaries come together with our teams and completely turned on its head what was decades of previous dietary guidelines work, and instead just make it about eating real food. And you probably most Americans would look at that and say, well, that's just common sense. Why wouldn't you always do that? And I would respond and say, well, this is Washington, D.C., where common sense doesn't normally prevail. But when President Trump enabled the two of us to work together and gave us the charge to do whatever it took to make America healthy again, this was a massive, massive first step in doing that. One other final thing I want to say, and then I'll turn it over to my partner in crime, Bobby. I think that the importance of the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the importance of just agriculture in general, and having an understanding that if we really are going to make America healthy again, if we really are going to reverse this just heartbreaking trend that's been happening in our country for so long in terms of chronic disease and just the health of our people, if we're really going to do that, the way to do it is through our farmers and ranchers and eating real food. And that's why this partnership is so incredibly important. Let me close by saying I walk away today from my time in Tampa and my time in this building and my time with these leaders more inspired and convicted and more resolute than ever before that we can make these changes together. That when you mention the culture, Chef, and you say there was a little bit, we had to kind of change the way that our kitchen thought about these things and our leadership did, but the fact that you've done it and done it so beautifully, I believe, is a model and an inspiration, not just for hospitals around the country, but for schools around the country, for our military, feeding our military around the country and the world. And that's how important this is. And you think about America and our 250th birthday right now, and what we have been called to do to meet our moment and to do whatever we can to help those around us and to serve others and to continue to make the American dream possible for every man, woman, child, not just those of us born in certain zip codes or with certain bank accounts. It starts right here with the health of our country. And I just couldn't be more grateful again or honored to be here, to be a part of it. And kudos to you, John, and your incredible team here at Tampa General. God bless you. Now I want to turn it over. Yeah, a round of applause for this leadership team. Now I'm excited to turn it over to really the reason we're here, and that is, again, my great partner, Bobby Kennedy, who has literally fundamentally changed the way we are talking about, thinking about, executing on, and policy making around food from the White House and from our government, and it will change our country forever for the better. Please help me welcome Secretary Bobby Kennedy.
Thank you very much, Brooke. And I want to say a couple words. I was on Jeffrey's show about a month ago, and we did a show together, a cooking show, and he cooked an omelet, and he showed me how to cook it in a way that was very fast and really good, and I've been eating that omelet every day. I had one this morning, so I want to thank you for that, Jeffrey.
Yes. The egg farmers, thank you.
And I want to thank Blake for introducing Jeffrey to John Corus. Blake is an old friend of mine. He's now the vice chair of this hospital, soon to be chair. And thank you for your leadership. Brooke and I came together. We got confirmed the same week.
Same day.
Same day. And a lot of people predicted that we would have a divorce very quickly because HHS has never got along with USDA, but we are best friends in the cabinet. We talk to each other almost every day, and we find more and more things to collaborate on because you can't have good health in the country if you don't have good food and if you don't have strong farmers, prosperous farmers. And I love seeing Brooke's face when she learned that 25% of the food that is now eaten in this hospital is locally sourced. And that's good for farmers too. When the processed food industry controls what we eat, they centralize that control and they squeeze the money from both sides, from the farmers and from the consumers. And they give us low quality food. And that is making us all sick and that we pay for with Medicaid and Medicare in the long run. And it's not as good. And to hear that we're going back to locally sourced food benefits farmers and it benefits the consumers. And it gives us all the food that we had today that Jeffrey cooked was food, as he said, that was not hyperbole when they said it was as good as any food that you get in the best restaurants in this city. It was food, that phrase is a pejorative. If you go to your friend's house and say, this tastes like hospital food, it is not a compliment. And it's really incredible that, we've been feeding patients this, pudding and Jell-O and sugar drinks when 50% of them are pre-diabetic or diabetic. And, we've for a long time, we've understood the relationship between food and health and recovery and recidivism and all of these issues. And it's good to see the leadership from John Corus in this extraordinary hospital. When Brooke and I came in, we were handed the dietary guidelines that have been worked on for 4 years during the Biden administration. They were 453 pages long. They were incomprehensible, and they reflected the mercantile impulses because they were written by food industry lobbyists. And the same impulse that had driven Fruit Loops to the top of the old food pyramid, which isn't even a food, it's like a food-like substance. And we brought together the best scientists, nutritionists in the country from the biggest universities in this country. And we basically locked them in a room for a year. And they came back, we said we want something under 10 pages that everybody could understand. And they came back, they met that metric. And every single recommendation is cited and sourced to scientific publications and gold standard science. You can summarize it all in 3 words: eat real food. And that's what's going to make America healthy again. And then our challenge was, well, how, 70% of the food that people eat in this country are ultra-processed foods or highly refined carbohydrates. And that's why we're the 6th population in the world. 77% of our kids can't qualify for military service. 4 in 10 kids have some kind of food-induced chronic disease. And, the older population is even worse off. So how do we change that? How do we change the dietary culture? So we can start making America what it was when I was a kid. We were the healthiest, most robust people in the world. And one of the ways that we're doing that is by driving this food pyramid into what people eat on their day-to-day lives. Brooke has tremendous power, which she is exercising in an extraordinarily courageous way to make that happen. Her agency gives away $405 million a day, about $9 billion a year in food subsidies for WIC, for the Indian Health Service, for SNAP program, and for school lunches. She just announced a program this week to align 30 million school lunches that she pays for every day, to align those now with the food pyramid. So our kids are going to be starting to eat healthier, and that's the beginning of restoring health in America. We're doing it. Pete Hegseth is cooperating with us and doing it on all the military bases. 2/3 of the military meals were thrown out because the only metric they use in purchasing food commodities was shelf life. Nobody was looking at nutrition, and the troops weren't eating it. And now they're flocking. We're changing it on all the reservations. And there's Stephanie and I were at a military base in Colorado a couple of weeks ago, and before we changed it, it had 600 troops visiting that cafeteria a day. Now there's 4,000. And the food is all fresh. It's locally based. They've gotten rid of the freezers. And we're giving our troops good food now. So we're going to change it in the schools. We're going to change it in the prisons. We're going to change it on the military reservations. But one of the biggest, craziest things was the hospitals, because these are places where people come to get healthy. And we were giving them stuff that is going to actually aggravate and amplify their chronic illnesses. And Dr. Oz and I gave a challenge in June to all the hospitals in the country to sign a Make Hospital Meals Healthy Again pledge. And the great thing was, because of the leadership of John Corus and the courage that John has shown, this hospital was 2 years ahead of us. So, if hospitals come to us and say we can't do this, which some of them have, so a hospital, one of the first hospitals that we went to said, well, we can't get rid of the Coca-Cola. And we were like, there's no nutrients in that. It's just making people sick. And when I asked John about that, he said, yeah, people told us that too. But I said, we're just going to do it because we have to do it. And they figured out a way around it. And so we have a template here at Tampa General where we can point every hospital in the country as we roll this out around the country. We can point to Tampa General as one of the biggest hospital systems in the country, 1,000 beds, soon to be 1,200, 8 different hospital systems. And we can say, if they did it, you can do it. And then, John and I talked about him coming to Washington to meet with all the health center CEOs around the country and do a round table and do a panel so that there's a network now where he can share his successes and failures here at Tampa General with all these other hospital CEOs and help them roll out these programs. Oh, I want to thank you, John, for your leadership and your vision and the commitment and courage that you've shown in making this happen. It's going to change our country, and it's going to help make America healthy again. So thank you all for being here, and thank you very much to Tampa General and to all of the chefs and the workers and all the people who had to change the way that they were doing things and to embrace a new vision. And we saw when we visited the kitchen today the enthusiasm and just the happiness that they are providing really good, high-quality meals for people, and food makes people happy, and it makes them healthy as well. I want to thank all the staff at the hospital who have participating in making this change happen. And particularly, again, John, for his leadership. And Blake, thank you very much, too. Thank you.
We will now move along to our pledge signing. You can do one more picture standing. Great. Awesome. Right there, Tyler. Yeah, awesome.
Look right here.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much to all of our incredible speakers. We're now going to move on to our Q&A. We ask that when you're called upon that you stand and state your name and outlet, and please keep your question to the topic of today's wonderful pledge signing. Who wants to go first?
Hi, I'm Perry Ford Phoenix.
Yeah.
Mr. Kors, is it fair to say TGH has had an evolution on this? I mean, you had a McDonald's on this campus for many years that pictured some people over the years.
We got rid of that, right?
Yeah, that's correct. We don't have a McDonald's anymore. We now have a Wright's Deli, which is spectacular, actually. So yes, it's been an evolution. We're learning as we're going. I think what health systems have to realize is it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fail along the way. It's not okay to stop trying, building, creating, and partnering. So it's absolutely been an evolution, and it really changed for us when Jeffrey Zakarian came on board and when Donna Tope, our Vice President of Operations, got her hands around this project. And we started to learn, we started to grow, and we started to improve. We're very proud of the evolution that has been taking place.
Okay, next, yes, in the blue. Great.
So my question is also for John. Have you all seen any measurable
So we're in the middle of that journey right now and sort of studying it and understanding it from an objective perspective. But we have one of our physician scientists from the University of South Florida here that I'd asked to come up for a moment and address it. As you all know, we have a very robust relationship with the University of South Florida that we're very proud of. USF Health is integrated with our academic health system, and so our physician scientists have been very involved in all of this. Maybe you could spend a second on that.
Sure. Thank you for that question, and an important one, and I think that's something that we were hoping to discuss in our conversations today too. I think there are some outcomes we would like to measure in the long term. Right now, we have a lot of anecdotal evidence of how it's made the patient experience better for our patients, but I'm hopeful that as we have already started a research agenda, that we can partner with our USF Health colleagues as well as our Tampa General colleagues to understand that better.
Would you mind giving us your name, please?
Shanu Gupta.
How do you spell it? I'm sorry.
Yeah, SHANUGUPTA. Yeah.
Yes, right there.
Marilyn Parker, News Channel 8.
Great.
I also wanted to ask, I mean, you flip that pyramid, obviously. Steak at Walmart is expensive. I can't imagine how much it costs for hospital systems to want to provide, obviously farm fresh food. So can we talk about actual costs and what this looks like, especially if you want to implement this to every hospital across this country that's not cheap? Where's that money coming from?
Yeah.
It's a great question, and we had this conversation earlier. So I had the same question, actually. So when Jeffrey and I and Donna and a whole team of people got together and we started to pull this apart, one of the first questions we asked was, how do we afford this? To Jeffrey's credit, and I'm going to embarrass him for a minute, he's an outstanding person, a world-class chef, and really understands this because he was teaching us. So he looked at me and he said, John, here's the thing. You're offering everything under the sun to patients to eat. You're offering too much. And by the way, the food that you're offering isn't very good, it's not very healthy, and it's expensive. It's actually expensive to purchase. One of the ways we're going to mitigate expense is we're going to have healthier options, but we're going to have less of those options. You don't have to have all this food that you're offering patients with. By the way, a lot of them are not taking advantage of the food that we were offering. So we limited the menu. We doubled down on the quality of the food, and we've seen somewhere roughly of a 5 to 7% increase in our expense overall for food, for food, purchasing. That's something that we can absorb. That's something we can absorb. Money to a degree is fungible, and so we can, especially operationally, so we can move money around to support something like this. But one of the ways that we mitigated it, less options, better options, and when we had less options, the money we saved by having less options, we applied to just better food. And Jeffrey, you might want to elaborate on this because it's a great question, and it was something that we grappled with. And what health systems will say, I'm guessing, they'll say the same thing that we did. How can we afford this? It requires you to think differently and shift paradigms. If we can do it, and we can show that we can do it, the rest of the country can. We can. We are a microcosm of what happens across the country. There are great health systems from coast to coast in this country. We can all do this. We have to do this. It's not acceptable to feed the food that we're feeding to patients the way we're doing it. We have to evolve. Part of our job is to help keep America healthy. And this is how we do it. And Jeffrey, do you want to share a little bit?
It's a good question. It's food cost, right? So but when I got here, they gave me all these shiny menus. They were great, by the way. But it was like a Cheesecake Factory menu, right? It was everything on it. And I just took the inventory list, which was about this big, and I took it home. And I was like just studying this list. There was so many things in the walk-ins that were like just poison. And we didn't need, so I basically cut the menu down from, it's 25% of what it was, and I think it's still too big. And what happened was, this is anecdotal also because we just started this in October, actually serving these meals that you ate. What happens is no one was eating the food we were serving them. So we had a $3.50 cost per plate, which imagine trying to serve good food for $3.50 a person. A $12 meal, Happy Meal at McDonald's is $12, right? So the only way to do this was to make sure they finish their food, which they do now. There's no food left over. And reduce the number of items. So we had higher quality items, less of it. So the walk-ins are a third full what they used to be filled with junk. And there was no way to measure what the patients were eating. Just no one knew, because if they didn't eat it, they didn't count what wasn't eaten. And now it's all changed. And I think through better health outcomes, which we're going to measure, you'll see that 5 to 7% probably will be actually less given the health outcomes we expect. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's sort of where we are with that. And we're actually working with vendors now to say, here is the 400 ingredients I want you to provide to these hospitals, and we're going to do this in the country. Can you bring your price down to help us out as a partner? And every one of them has said yes. So we think that's going to be a problem we're going to mitigate in the future.
Okay, awesome. We'll take one more in the dark purple here.
I'm Delia Dangerfield with Famous 9. And I have kind of a couple of questions. It seems like the TGH started 2 years ago with this transformation. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Yes. And what's been the reaction from patients? I know we don't have numbers, but what have people said? And Secretary, were you able to talk to patients to see what?
I asked the same question, and they actually, although they are not yet able to determine the impact on, for example, certain chronic diseases or food-induced chronic diseases, they have done patient surveys that are very extensive, and they've found a 53% improvement. In other words, 53% of the people are saying that the food experience is great. So I think they have seen a dramatic increase in patient happiness.
I can, thank you. Donna Tope, Vice President of Operations. So I can glean a little more color into what the Secretary is sharing. So we've seen very significant increases in both our meals overall scores. So that's a Press-Ganey measurement that we do. Meals overall, and then also specifically around quality of food and temperature of food. So those were two that we really wanted to measure to see the improvement related to this work. And we've seen that in our results. So as the Secretary, very good memory, Secretary, really great. So the quality scores, we've seen a 53% improvement in what we saw pre-menu to post-go live of menu. And also our temperature score actually went up to an 82% increase, which is huge. So we're cooking the food and we're keeping it to temp, whether it needs to be hot or cold. And then that really helped to elevate our meals overall, which increased by 38%, a 38% increase in these few months that we've been live with the program. And then just anecdotal, honestly, comments from our patients. We've seen social media posts. John mentioned that at the roundtable. Doing rounds with our posts, we track all of our quality rounds in an application that we have internally. So we're watching it every single day to ensure that what we're doing is meeting, from a qualitative perspective, the needs of our patients. Does that answer your question? Perfect.
And I also have one more. What
Yes.
did you guys eat? You had chili, chicken noodle soup, what else?
They had chili, chicken noodle soup. We did a meze platter. We did a feta
salad.
Greek salad. We did the Moroccan hanger steak.
It's amazing.
I did an olive oil cake.
Olive
I
oil
don't
cake.
usually eat desserts, but I ate the whole thing.
That's true. I was shocked to see him eating a dessert, but it was a
Trying
good
to hide
dessert.
from the cameras.
And it's all food that we feed our patients. So I actually, I might be a little vulnerable here. I had a child 5 months ago here at this hospital, and I got to eat this food and experience it, and it's beautiful. And as a new mom, being able to know that I'm nourishing my body, ensuring that I'm getting better for my child that I just had, it was truly a full circle experience for me. So it is a beautiful menu. So thank you. Thanks.
Thank you all so much for coming. That concludes our press conference. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.